Put gestures. Input gestures. Hey guys, what is up? It's your girl the Quinn here, and I'm back with a brand new video. Yes guys, in this video I'll be teaching you guys how to use the input gestures dialog in NVDA. But first, before we get into this video, a big shout out to my friend Andre, who has played a big part in helping me put this whole video together. Before this video starts, I want to ask you guys please to like the video and to share the video. That is how other persons who are in your same position that want to learn about input gestures will be able to see the videos. And be sure to subscribe and turn on the notifications as well. Also, I would like to let you know that the instrumentals for this video has been provided by InnerSanctum Entertainment. They provide high quality music, sound designing, and so much more. Their link will be down below in the description for you to check them out. But without further ado, let's get right into the video. First, what is the input gestures dialog? The input gestures dialog can be used to create and modify NVDA keyboard shortcuts, touch commands, and braille display commands. Therefore, think of a gesture as a method of input, usually a keyboard shortcut that can be recognized by NVDA. There are two types of gestures that can be created and modified. Number 1. General gestures. These gestures work in all contexts and areas of the operating system while using NVDA. For example, there's a gesture to report the current time, which is the NVDA key plus your F12 by default. Another is the keystroke NVDA plus the number 3, which is used to toggle on or off the speaking of a typed word by default. Number 2. Context-specific gestures. These gestures work in specific situations, such as while in browse mode, or in specific applications, such as while in Microsoft Word or editing a Goldwave file. For example, while in browse mode, your NVDA key plus your F7 would, by default, bring up a dialog which will list various types of elements in the document, such as landmarks and headings. Additionally, pressing your NVDA key plus Alt plus C while in Microsoft Word will report the comment of the text which is in focus. Input gestures may also be created by add-on authors to carry out specific functions. For example, while NVDA Remote is installed, a gesture can be created to disconnect a remote session. Some NVDA features, such as turning on or off the screen curtain, bringing up the speech viewer, and rather ironically, bringing up the input gestures dialog, do not have any gestures assigned to them when NVDA is installed. Therefore, users can create their own gestures for these purposes. Gestures can also be created to change some document formatting settings. These may include reporting the font color, font style, spelling errors, headings, graphics, and clickable items. All configuration profiles can also be assigned to different gestures. Once these gestures are pressed, the profile is manually activated, and if they are pressed once more, the profile is manually deactivated. As their name suggests, context-specific input gestures can only be assigned in certain situations. Therefore, the dialog will only display these types of gestures in those situations. For example, to assign another gesture to read speaker notes in Microsoft PowerPoint, which is Ctrl plus Shift plus S by default, PowerPoint must be open and a slideshow must be currently active. Additionally, features of add-ons can only be assigned gestures if they are installed and enabled. System keyboard shortcuts can also be emulated or mirrored while using NVDA. For example, another gesture can be created to perform the same function as Windows plus D to go to the desktop, or pressing the volume up and down buttons. These gestures, however, work in all contexts, so care should be taken while emulating keyboard shortcuts. NVDA gestures are not profile specific. That is, they do not work differently whether a profile is created, triggered, nor manually activated. Here are some tips for creating and modifying gestures. Number 1. When assigning or reassigning gestures, it's best to first go into your input help mode, which has a default keyboard shortcut of your NVDA key plus your number 1, to find out if the gesture is already in use by NVDA. For example, if I should use my insert plus 1 right now,
input help on.
Now say for instance I use my NVDA key plus my Ctrl plus N to find out if it's safe to use. So my NVDA key is my insert, so let's do that.
NVDA plus Control plus N.
You realize NVDA just says it, it doesn't say anything after that. So that means it's safe to use. But say for instance, I use a keystroke insert plus C.
NVDA plus C reports the text on the Windows clipboard.
Once you hear NVDA give a description after the key that you type, you know that it will not be safe to use. Also note that if you want to find out if there's already a context specific input gesture, like say for instance one for Microsoft Word or one for Microsoft Excel, you would have to go into input help mode while you have Microsoft Word focused or Microsoft Excel focused. So if you want to find out if a context specific gesture is already being used in Microsoft Word, you'd have to have Microsoft Word open before going into input help mode. Then after you're finished finding a safe keystroke to use, you can close your input help mode by using your NVDA key plus your 1 again.
NVDA plus 1. Input help off.
Number 2. Avoid, as best as possible, assigning general gestures to the same gestures of context-specific ones. Check the user guide or commands quick reference if you are not sure if the gesture is already in use. Number 3. Try as best as possible to only assign keyboard shortcuts in conjunction with the NVDA key. These would most likely not conflict with Windows keyboard shortcuts or shortcuts used in different applications. Number 4. NVDA does not yet inform the user if the gesture has been duplicated, so make sure that the gesture is not in use. Be creative and use up the modifier keys such as Ctrl, Shift, and Slash or Alt. Number 5. When emulating keyboard keys, it is only recommended to assign shortcuts using the NVDA key. Assigning shortcuts with Alt, Shift, Windows, or Control keys that do not use these modifier keys in the original shortcut may have undesirable results. Now, let's get into actually using the input gestures dialog. To access the input gestures dialog, first we need to open the NVDA menu. So use your keystroke, your NVDA key plus your N. In my case, my NVDA key is my insert. Then down arrow to preferences and press enter. Then down arrow to input gestures and press enter. Alternatively, and you can do this later on after I teach you how to, you can create a gesture to access this dialog. The layout of the input gestures dialog is simple. After opening the dialog, you are automatically placed in a tree view with different categories with several input gestures. Categories are basically groups of similar gestures. Braille, browse mode, document formatting, speech, and tools are examples of categories. Each category is at level 0, and you can use your up and your down arrows to go through this menu. To open a category, press the right arrow. When the right arrow is pressed, the category will be expanded, and the NVDA will announce how many items are in the category. Each gesture is represented by a description. Examples of descriptions may include
Level 1 cycles through line indentation settings 1 of 30.
And
Toggles on and off reporting if clickable 2 of 30 level 1.
So basically, descriptions tell you what the gesture can do, and each description is on level 1. You can also use your up and down arrows to go through the different descriptions in a category. And pressing left arrow will collapse the category, therefore closing it. Pressing right arrow on each description will then expand the gesture description if there is or are an assigned gesture or gestures. Assigned gestures are at level 2. This is the format of the gestures. Number 1. The gesture itself. For example, your NVDA key plus your T, your NVDA key plus your F3, or Ctrl plus Alt plus C. Number 2. The input type and layout if applicable in brackets. For example, a gesture may be assigned to work in the laptop keyboard layout, all keyboard layouts, or by using the touchscreen. Pressing left arrow on the assigned gesture will return you to the gesture description. Now, depending on where you are in the dialog, there are add and remove buttons. The add button would appear if you're on a gesture description or on the emulated system keyboard keys category. This allows you to add gestures to carry out certain functions. The remove button appears when you are focused on an assigned gesture. The reset to factory defaults button appears so you can return your gesture settings to the default. The filter by field allows you to search for gesture descriptions so you can create or modify gestures. For example, you can search for the word time to find a gesture that will report the current time. It is located in the System Status category. And you will simply get to these buttons by pressing Tab. Pressing Escape while in the dialog closes it without saving the changes, while pressing Enter while in the dialog will close it, saving all changes. The Cancel and OK buttons perform the same respective functions. Now let's get into adding gestures. So first, open your Input Gestures dialog. So you would use your Insert plus N.
NVDA menu.
Then down arrow to Preferences.
Preferences sub-menu P.
Then press Enter.
Settings.
And down arrow to Input Gestures.
Speech punctuate Input Gestures.
Then press Enter.
Input Gestures dialog. Tree view. Braille collapsed 1 of 18 level 0.
Now let us down arrow to Configuration.
Browse mode configuration collapsed 3 of 18 level 0.
Then use your right arrow to expand.
Expanded. 21 items.
Then let's down arrow to the one that speaks about opening the Input Gestures dialog.
Shows the NVDA Input Gestures dialog 16 of 21 level 1.
And if I should use my right arrow to expand, you realize it says nothing because there is no gesture assigned to this. So from here you would tab to the Add button.
Add button Alt plus A.
Then press Enter.
Unavailable. Tree view. Level 2 enter input gesture : 1 of 1.
Now here you will be prompted to enter an input gesture. Note that each key pressed here will be treated as the gesture that you wanted to be assigned to this description. So please be aware that if you press your arrow keys, your tab, your enter key, or your escape, if you press any of these keys even by themselves when it prompts you to enter your gesture, it would take that as the gesture that you want to be applied. Say for instance, if you press tab, it will put tab as the gesture that you want to be applied, and that may have undesirable effects. So please be aware of that. So I'm gonna assign it to my NVDA key plus my Control plus N. So I'm gonna press that combination.
Context menu.
Now a context menu will appear. At this point, you can use your keys in their expected way. However, escape will not cancel this operation. It will save the gesture. Now press your down arrow and move to assign the gesture to Keyboard, All Layouts.
NVDA plus Control plus N left paren. Laptop keyboard right. NVDA plus Control plus N left paren. Keyboard. All layouts right paren. N.
Then press Enter.
Input gestures dialog. Tree view. NVDA plus Control plus N left paren. Keyboard. All layouts right paren. 1 of 1 level 2.
And there we go, the gesture has been added. At this point, the dialog can be closed by pressing Enter or OK. So let me tab to OK.
Remove button. Reset to OK button.
Then press Enter. Remember, before adding a gesture, follow the tips to ensure that you're totally aware of what you're doing. Now, if I should go to my desktop,
folder view list,
and use that keystroke, you will see that it actually works. So, my insert, which is my NVDA key plus my Control plus my N.
Input gestures dialog. Tree view. Braille collapsed 1 of 18 level 0.
Yes, there we go, it actually works. Now, let's get to removing a gesture. So first, you'll follow the steps that I mentioned before in adding a gesture. Let's use by example the gesture that I just created to open the Input Gestures dialog. So remember, I'm in the Input Gestures dialog. So I'm going to go back into where I created the gesture to open the Input Gestures dialog. So I'm going to down arrow to Configuration.
Browse mode. Configuration collapsed.
Then right arrow.
Expanded. 21 items.
Then I'm going to down arrow back to that gesture description.
Shows the NVDA Input Gestures dialog collapsed 16 of 21 level 1.
Then I would expand it using my right arrow.
Expanded. 1 items.
Then I would down arrow to that gesture that I created.
Level 2 NVDA plus Control plus N left paren. Keyboard. All layouts right paren. 1 of 1.
Then from here I would tab to my Remove.
Remove button Alt plus R.
Then press Enter.
Unavailable. Tree view. Level 1 shows the NVDA Input Gestures dialog expanded 16 of 21.
And from here, you just tab to your OK.
Add button. Reset to factory. OK button.
And press Enter.
Folder view.
And if I should use that keystroke again, you will see that it no longer works because it has been removed. There we go. Now, to reassign a gesture. To do this, you must first remove a gesture's currently assigned input. Then add your own. Now let me give you an example of using the filter by field. So first, you will open the Input Gestures dialog.
NVDA menu. Preferences sub-menu P. Settings. S. Speech punctuate Input Gestures. Input gestures dialog. Tree view. Braille collapsed 1 of 18 level 0.
Then you can use your tab, or a quick way to do it is to use your shift tab to quickly navigate to the filter by.
Filter by colon, edit Alt plus F blank.
You could have also used your Alt plus F keystroke to get to here quickly. Now we're gonna create a gesture to toggle the screen curtain, as one is not assigned by default. Then type in the words screen curtain and press tab.
S C R E E N space C U R T A I N. Tree view. Vision left paren, 1 result right paren, expanded 1 of 1 level 0.
Now press down arrow on the already expanded vision category, which has 1 result.
Level 1 toggles the state of the screen curtain, enable to make the screen black or disable to show the contents of the screen. Pressed once, screen curtain is enabled until you restart NVDA. Pressed twice, screen curtain is enabled until you disable it 1 of 1.
Make sure that you are focused on this description. Then press your tab.
Add button Alt plus A.
Then I'll press enter on my add button.
Unavailable. Tree view. Level 2 enter input gesture colon, 1 of 1.
Then let me use my insert plus my number 0 this time.
Context menu.
Then down arrow to all layouts.
NVDA plus 0 left paren, keyboard, all layouts right paren, N.
Then press enter.
Input gestures dialog. Tree view. NVDA plus 0 left paren, keyboard, all layouts right paren, 1 of 1 level 2.
And at this point, the dialog can be closed by pressing enter or tabbing to OK.
Remove button, reset to OK button.
Then I'll press my enter.
Folder view list. Website not selected.
Now let's get into adding a context specific gesture. Now let us add a gesture to open the elements list in browse mode documents and Excel spreadsheets. As you could imagine, this is a specific context, so the dialog needs to be open in that context. These would include while in a browser like Google Chrome, Firefox, Microsoft Edge, or in Adobe Reader, Microsoft Word, or Excel. First, open Microsoft Excel.
Start window. E. Level 1 Excel. Excel. New grouping. New grouping. Featured list. Sheet 1 table.
Then, open the Input Gestures dialog.
NVDA menu. Preferences. Settings. Speech. Punct. Input gestures. Input gestures dialog. Tree view. Level 0 break.
Then, let's go to the Filter by field.
Filter by colon. Edit Alt plus F.
Type elements and press tab.
E L E M E N T S. Tree view. Browse mode left paren, 3 results right paren, expanded 1 of 1 level 0.
Then press your down arrow on the already expanded browse mode category with 1 result.
Level 1 lists various types of elements in this document 1 of 3.
Make sure that this is focused. Then add your input gesture.
Add button Alt plus A. Unavailable. Tree view. Level 2 enter input gesture colon, 1 of 1.
So I'm going to use my insert plus control plus N, and I can use this one again because remember I removed it from opening the input gestures dialog.
Context menu.
Then down arrow to all layouts.
NVDA plus control plus N left paren, keyboard, all layouts right.
Then press enter.
Input gestures dialog. Tree view. NVDA plus control plus N left paren, keyboard, all layouts right paren.
At this point, the dialog can be closed by pressing enter or tabbing to your OK and pressing enter.
Remove button Alt plus, reset, OK button. Book 1-Excel. Sheet 1 table.
Now, if I should press that keystroke, so insert plus control plus N.
Elements list dialog. Tree view.
And there we go, it has been done. Now I can just close Excel. Now, let's get into adding and removing emulated system keyboard keys. Let's add a keyboard shortcut to emulate pressing Alt plus F4, which you should know closes a program. First, open the Input Gestures dialog.
NVDA preferences setting, punctuate, input gestures
Move to the System Emulated Keys category and press Tab.
Browse mode collapsed, configuration document form, emulated system keyboard keys collapsed 6 of 18 level 0. Add button Alt plus A.
Press the Add button, then press Alt plus F4 to generate the description.
Unavailable. Tree view. Level 1 enter gesture to emulate colon, 6 of 6.
Then here I would press my Alt plus my F4.
Emulate key press colon, Alt plus F4.
When this description is generated, it is automatically in focus. Now press Tab.
Add button Alt plus A.
Then press enter.
Unavailable. Tree view. Level 2 enter input gesture : 1 of 1.
Here, we will add an assigned gesture to the description. For example, let's use NVDA plus Alt plus Escape.
Context menu.
Then down arrow to all layouts.
NVDA plus Alt plus Escape left paren, keyboard, all layouts right paren, N.
Then I can press enter here.
Input gestures dialog. Tree view. NVDA plus Alt plus Escape left paren, keyboard, all layouts right paren, 1 of 1 level 2.
Then I can tab to OK for it to be saved.
Remove but reset OK button.
Then press enter, or you could have just pressed your enter key from up there.
Downloads row 1 column 5. Downloads window. Items view list.
And if I should use this keystroke, it will close this downloads window that I'm in. So let me use my NVDA key plus my Alt plus my Escape.
Document 1-Word.
And you realize it works. And if you want to remove that gesture that I've just created, first you would go back into that input gestures menu.
NVDA menu. Preferences sub settings. Speak punk input gestures. Input gestures dialog. Tree view.
Then move to the emulated system keyboard keys category.
Browse config document emulated system keyboard keys collapsed 6 of 18 level 0.
Then expand it with your right arrow.
Expanded 6 items.
Then down arrow.
Level 1 emulate key press : Alt plus F4 collapsed 1 of 6 level 1.
And this is the one that we want. Then we will press our right arrow to expand it.
Expanded 1 items.
Then down arrow.
Level 2 NVDA plus Alt plus Escape left paren, keyboard, all layouts right paren, 1 of 1.
Then you tab to remove.
Remove button Alt plus R.
Then press enter.
Tree view. Level 1 emulate key press : Alt plus F4 expanded 1 of 6.
Then I can tap and press enter on OK.
Add button, remove but reset to OK button. Document 1-Word. Microsoft.
And if I should use that keystroke again, it wouldn't work.
Desktop row 1 column.
And that is it for the input gestures dialog, everybody. Hopefully this video has been helpful to you. And if it has, be sure to like, subscribe, and to turn on that notification bell to be alerted when I'll post the next video.
Instrumentals have been provided by.
If you need instrumentals, recording, mixing or mastering, maybe a music video, photo shoot or graphic designing. Need bouncy castles, face painting, popcorn, cotton candy or characters for the kids? Want to do online or offline promotion, maybe both? Let's print your t-shirts and everything else. Here at InnerSanctum Entertainment Ltd, we got you covered. Reach us on FB and Instagram at InnerSanctum Entertainment Ltd, YouTube at InnerSanctum Entertainment, and Twitter at iSanctum Studios. Or call us at 1-868-338-4123. That's 1-868-338-4123.
And guys, please remember to share this video with others, because I'm sure a lot of persons like you out there would love to have this knowledge. And remember to also leave your comments to let me know what you think about the video. But thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.